All right, let's go ahead and kick this off. Wow, LinkedIn Live. This is fun. This is exciting. It's been a while since I've gotten to join one of these. It's a privilege. It's an honor. I'm excited to be here. Can't wait to get into the topics to talk about and Stream Deck and how amazing companions they are with each other. But as people are filtering in and getting settled, figuring out where they're going to sit, what kind of beverage they're going to have during today's show, why don't we get ahead of the housekeeping stuff? Let me start by saying thanks for joining. A sincere thank you for taking time out of your day, no matter where you're joining from. Maybe what you can do is in the comments, let's get that going. Tell us where you're joining from. So good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Good morning out west. Good evening if you're joining overseas. Thanks again for joining that. We are recording this, and why don't we start with letting me introduce myself just to get that out of the way, and then we'll get into the good stuff. I'll make sure my intro quick. My name is Michael Perekupka. Again, thrilled to be here, head of customer success at mmhmm. Been with the business for about 2.5 years. Have absolutely loved it, helping users learn this amazing app, unlock all of the potential and the creativity. It's fantastic. I was a teacher in a previous life, passionate for good storytelling, good communicating. It's what made me fall in love with mmhmm in the beginning. mmhmm is amazing for explaining things. So that's me. What I also think is a good habit, I hope you guys can help me get this become the norm. If you watch a lot of videos these days, especially on TikTok, Instagram Reels, people start with a fit check. Tell them what brands you're wearing. I know you don't care what I'm wearing today, but you might care about my setup. So I'm going to do, and I think presenters should do this, I'm going to do a setup check. So if you're wondering, hey, how's you getting that picture? What are you using today to put this on? I like to share that with you. Just be transparent. And I think we should do that to help people, learn different setups. They might want to try something out. So here's what I'm using today. I'm using 7 different things working together, believe it or not. My MacBook Pro is driving the whole thing. I have an iPhone 15 Pro above the screen as my camera, and it's running through the Camo app. Love the Camo app. Lets you fine tune everything. I've been using it for years. And I'm using 2 key light airs that are positioned up here above me, so I hopefully don't get a ton of glasses glare. I am using a Rode Lav mic. It's actually attached here to my lapel, and it's running down through my shirt into this little device in my back pocket, which is called the Rode Wireless Go 2. If you are someone that is on video a lot and you like to stand and move around, I couldn't recommend it more. It's fantastic. And I like to say I am using a green screen. I like to think of my green screen as my sports coat. It gives me that little bit of extra flair to it. So I put mine up today. It's Elgato Green Screen XL. That's me today. You don't need a green screen, but for stuff like this, I think it's just a good look to do it. So that's what I got it up today. This is how I'm making it work. What am I actually here to talk about? I'm here to talk about Stream Deck profiles. I'm here to talk about mmhmm and Stream Deck and all the unlimited potential that this unlocks. Okay, but before I get into the good stuff and before I get to what I was sharing all these things, let me also make some comments here. We are giving away a Stream Deck during this session. Well, for people that are here, if you comment Stream Deck in the comments, if you haven't done it yet, if you want to start it now, go ahead and be the first person to do it. Comment Stream Deck in the chat, and we're going to pick someone, and we're going to give one of these away today for free. So go ahead and do it. I'll remind you 3 times throughout this to do it. If you haven't, go ahead and start that now. Next, my guess is, or my hunch here, is that we have an eclectic group of people that are joining. What I mean by that is there are probably some people that are very familiar with mmhmm and have been using mmhmm for a long time, or maybe are new to Stream Deck, and vice versa. There's probably some Stream Deck power users that are wondering, hey, so mmhmm, what's that all about? So I want to do is give a 30 second to 60 second intro on both, starting with mmhmm. Yes, that's the actual name. It's a name you can say while you're eating. It's also what people say when you use mmhmm. Your audience will say, like, oh, I understand that, because mmhmm is great for explaining things. Here's what mmhmm is. If you're new to it, mmhmm is, and I'll put a sentence above my head that I think explains it great. It's a video presentation app that makes you more engaging on video calls and recorded video. I like to think it is a game changer. It gives you superpowers. You can do a lot of cool things. You can do a lot of simple things. I'm using it today. But also mmhmm allows you to do things like go from here to presenting in a newsroom like that. Slides over here. I can also snap again and go to inside a mirror on a wall. One more snap will put me in one of my favorite places, which is a Game Boy. I loved Game Boy growing up, so it's a fun way to capture people's attention, do things like that. But it doesn't all have to be fun. It can actually be very professional. You can be in a boardroom using nice professional slides to give an update where you are with your slides and not making people choose what they're looking at. So that's mmhmm in a nutshell. I would love to talk all day about mmhmm, but that's not what we're going to do. Let's get into Stream Deck next. If you're relatively new to Stream Deck, that's a Stream Deck Plus. Plus with the knobs. There's a couple versions of it. They all do similar things, but the newest one is the Plus. Got a touchscreen here and some knobs. what is the Stream Deck? I love the way they describe this, especially the end. Stream Deck Plus is your audio mixer, your studio controller, your production console, and I love this last line. It's anything you want it to be. It is true. If you want it to be a remote control for your presentation, you can do that. If you want it to mix audio, you can do that. If you want it to be a sound effects board like a radio host, you could do that. Stream Deck really is so customizable, so robust. It can do so many things. And more recently, as a reminder, what I want you to start thinking about is, because these two apps play so nice, we now are in the Elgato marketplace. So go ahead if you haven't, especially if you're a longtime user, thinking about getting into the Stream Deck, download the app from the marketplace. We did a session last week with Garen Perkins to show all of the customizations you could do here. You can go back and check that out. I'll also mention some things here. Download the app, and all you have to do after that is start dragging and dropping actions into the dials and your keys. Super simple. It's drag and drop, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Before I do, reminder number 2, in case you joined late, go ahead and comment Stream Deck in the chat, because we're going to give one out. Not during the thing. We're going to pick names afterwards, and we're going to give out a Stream Deck for free. But if you don't get picked and you still want a Stream Deck and you haven't made the purchase yet, you will not regret it, but go ahead and save some cash and use the discount code ZZ and get 20% off. If you don't write it down now, I'm going to repeat this at the end of the show too. Okay, so there's all the housekeeping stuff. Got it out of the way. Let's get into the good stuff. I am here to talk about Stream Deck profiles. And if you are new to the Elgato world, new to the Stream Deck world, yes, you should know. You might not exactly know what a profile is, so let's start there. What are profiles? Well, profiles are basically what. Let me do this. Let me use an image, because that's what does. Let me be on screen with it. When you get the Elgato Stream Deck, you'll also get some software with it, where you'll see the buttons, you'll see the dials, and you'll see a list. And you can add to this list by downloading plugins from their marketplace. You can see all the actions you can drag onto keys, drag onto dials. What a profile does is, you might think, oh man, a Stream Deck only has 8 buttons and 4 dials. That seems pretty limiting. That's wrong, and that's where profiles come in. Profiles allow you to say, I want this set of keys for when I'm doing one thing. But if I'm doing activity number 2, I can have a fresh slate. And if I'm doing activity number 3, I can have a fresh slate. You can have infinitely many buttons if you want them. That's where profiles really opens things up. You can find them here. You can see mine is called Michael Main. If I click on that, I can see the rest of my profiles are in here. So I have a profile when I'm recording, a profile when I'm demoing to automate things, and I pull these up at certain different parts of my day to help me with those. So that is where and I'll explain more about all of these. That's what I'm here to talk about. But I shouldn't start before I address this. It's like the elephant in the room. If you're on the side that you're very familiar with Stream Deck, you've probably been talking about this for a while. And I've been in Reddit communities and subreddits that have talked about this. It's actually pretty crazy. Some people are very adamant, should I use folders or should I use profiles in my Stream Deck? And it's like, you got to be on team A or team B. It's actually kind of crazy. So profiles are what I just talked about. Fresh slates, fresh sets of keys. Folders mean you can make a button that opens up a folder to more buttons. Almost like putting a folder on your desktop. You click it, you store some documents in there. That's a folder. Where a profile is, I have different slates of screens. And what I'm here to say is, if I had to pick, what I'll say is my opinion, is, again, I'm here to talk about profiles, so you probably would guess that I would pick profiles, but I want to explain why. Profiles give you 2 things that I think are very important. If you use folders too much and you nest folders, it becomes a little bit hard to remember where you put everything. If you do profiles right and you name them accordingly, they're very easy. You're like, oh, I have a profile for when I'm recording. I have a profile for when I'm writing emails. That's why I really like that. And then the second thing I think is really important is shareability. If you have a profile, I want to give you my profile today, I can just do that. If I want to give a profile to a colleague, I can do that. They don't have to start from scratch. Profiles allow that functionality, super easy. So yeah, if you see one of mine today that you want, let's make it happen. I'm happy to share, so you don't have to start with a blank slate. So that's why I would pick profiles. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, and wait, before I go forward, I also just want to say, and I just want to be very clear here, use both. They're both valuable. So don't pick team A or team B. Use some profiles and put some folders in. That's what I do. I'll show you that. So here's what I want to show you. Hey, this is the good stuff. Hope you find this interesting. I have gone through many different profiles. I've had a Stream Deck for about almost a year now. I've gone through a bunch. I've made some that I thought were going to be really useful, and I ended up throwing them away because they ended up not saving that much time. And I think you'll probably go through that if you're new, but then you're going to find ones that'll be the ones that stick around. These 5 have stuck around for me. There's a main one. I guess I'll just get through it. There is a main one that I use that I call my workhorse. It's the first one I open up every day when I start my work. It's the one that's on my screen the most. And then I also have ones where it's time to demo, when it's time to record, when I want to automate certain mundane tasks. I have one for that. I love that one. I'll show you one of my favorite things. And then I have one for Wavelength. Sometimes I need to have different audio sources. I am not going to go super in-depth here because there is another session next Tuesday. And Ajin from our team is a master at this. And I would be doing it injustice if I tried to explain it, because he's going to do a great job with that. But I will show you at least what mine looks like. Okay. So that's what I'll do. That's where I'll get started. I'm going to go through these 5. I'll press some buttons. And what I also have, I should also mention this before I start. Let me maybe back up for a second. Sorry. Reminder. Yes, if you see one and you're like, oh, I just want that one because something I did resonated, let's find a way to make that happen. We can share it as a resource, connect. Yes, I'm happy to share any of these. And if you'd like to ask some questions, I would love to be a resource. Let's start with my main one. And I think you should have a main one. So I'm going to start with just my main profile. I call it my workhorse. Like I said, it's the one that stays up the most. I think you should think about having a main one too for like, what are the things I do most often that I find I would just like to have it on a click of a button. So what I'm going to try to do for you all to make this as useful as possible is use to first share my Stream Deck app. So I'm going to show you the buttons in the app. I'm going to share that screen. Add screen share. Now, okay, so that is live. That is my Stream Deck. I can see my mouse. You can see some buttons in there, and I'll explain what they look like. This is my main profile, and then what I can also do is I also have a camera sitting on a tripod here that I'm pointing down. I'm going to do my best to do this without screwing up too bad. I'm going to show you a live view of my Stream Deck, so you can see the buttons as I press them. I just think that's a helpful view, and you can use to add a second camera. So let me do that here. Perfect. And what I can do, let me get the camera a little bit better, is I can drag this, the second camera, let's put it down in this dead space here. So now you can kind of see, and let's see if I can get that camera to be a little bit more. There we go. Now you can kind of see that the buttons on your app translate directly to the buttons on the Stream Deck. So watch, this is a live view. That is my hand right in front of it. And the buttons, anything you put on your buttons shows up right here. And I love working with customized icons. There's an icon library. You can download more of them from the Elgato Marketplace. They're just fun. So let me go through these. I'm going to demo a couple of these buttons for you on my main profile. The button I press the most is in the upper left here. So let me put my mouse on it, and I'm going to press it with my finger here. It's my lights. Every time I go on a meeting or I'm recording a video, I don't have a lot of natural light in here. Watch, I'll show you when I do that. If I press this button, it gets very dark. So I need to press that button to make sure I'm well lit. So my 2 key light airs are mapped to that button, and I press it often. Next 2 that I really want to show you are when I go into a meeting. Typically, I meet users in Zoom or in Google Meet. So I have a button for Zoom, that's what this one is, and a button for Google Meet. So if I'm entering a Zoom meeting, I'll press Zoom, so that way I can be ready to have my controls at hand. And what I have in here are buttons to do certain things, like advance my slides. These are buttons. If I press that, you'll see my next slide is my demo profile. I'll get to that. Reverse slide is this one. It brings it back. I also have Zoom controls when I'm in the meeting. If I need to real quick mute my mic, or if I want to record the meeting, I don't have to fumble around to do that, or stop the recording. If I need to share my screen, I got a button right there for that. It won't work now if I press it because I'm not in Zoom, because I'm not in that environment. You won't see it. But the last thing is, if I want to leave the meeting quickly, instead of having to fumble that around and have that awkward pause, I just have a button to leave. So that's my Zoom profile. I have a very similar one for Google Meet, where it's the same thing. One of my fun buttons in Google Meet is I can have a button to raise my hand, just having controls at your fingertips, so you don't have to, oh, you're on mute kind of thing. So last one I'll show you here, maybe 2 more, is I often make screen recordings where I pair with QuickTime to show my screen to folks. So I have a button up here. It's called Screen Record, or Record Screen. That will open QuickTime and start a screen recording for me, so I can just do that with a click of a button. I also have a button here that I use a lot When I'm on things like this, I'll pause my Slack notifications. So just in case people are reaching me, it doesn't pop up. So if I press that button, you can actually, it's hard to see, but actually we'll start a countdown. I have it set for an hour. It'll go off automatically. Or if I press the button again, it'll just now my Slack notifications will come through. These last two buttons here are to launch the two apps that I use the most. I use them every day, so I don't have to think about it. Every morning I go boom, boom. I open up and Camo. So that's my main profile. And if I did, these are also knobs down here. I guess I should show. I could reduce if I turn these both, I can actually reduce how light or bright my lights are with the dials, which is a cool little handy thing to have on there. I can also change the temperature of it if I need to be a little bit more white or a little bit of like a mood, so change the temperature of the lights. So that's my main profile. I'm going to go forward to the next one because my next one's my favorite ones. And I want to explain why. This is what I call my demo profile. And the reason I think this is my favorite is because the nature of is such that I join a lot of calls that aren't supposed to be demos. If I'm talking to a colleague, a past colleague, or if I'm talking to someone just about something else, and I always use but sometimes I do things that makes people say, wait, how'd you do that? And it turns into a demo. So I'm not prepared to do it, but I need to demo kind of on the fly. That's what this profile does. So let me share that same image here. And I have a button to switch profiles here. I'll point it to my mouse so you can see it. So when I need to go and say, oh, wow, someone wants me to show real quick, the first thing I do is, boom, I switch into my demo profile. You can see demo up here. And now I'm ready to go. I have some handy controls right at my fingertips that I can show them around. So what I'll do is I actually will share. I'll move this. I'll move the screen share off, but so you can still see the controls. But let me just show how this works. First thing I'll typically do is show, we have a whole bunch of backgrounds. There's a button where you can change your backgrounds. We can flip through. We have a whole bunch programmed in. You can be in like log cabin, and it cycles through some of the backgrounds and show that. Next thing I might show is maybe you want to use a special effect. Like, hey, maybe you need to be black and white. You can grab attention. Maybe you want to be in the rain. And I cycle through some of our special effects, and usually it makes people laugh, makes people smile, and you can go ahead and turn them off. You can also show people, if you want to be in a circle frame and maybe you're too big and you want to shrink yourself down, or maybe you want to rotate and really catch people's attention. That's what the knobs are for. I show that, and you can have a button up here to say, if you do want to be cut out, you can cut right out. And you can make myself big by using this knob, which is really cool. And then my favorite two buttons are down here. I have a button. Can't recommend this enough. I have a button for visuals that I show often. So if I open this is a folder, and in here are visuals that I show often. One of the most common things that comes up is, hey, can I pull PowerPoint decks in here? I say, I hit that button when I go, oh yeah, go ahead. You can upload your PowerPoint. I have a preloaded PowerPoint slide that I show them. You can put it over your shoulder, or you can go ahead and make it full screen and get yourself kind of out of the way, position yourself where you want to be. And that's on that slide is preloaded to a button, so I can show that real quick. If I take that back. And if I put myself back to the beginning, I also have that's the wrong one I was. Sorry about that. I wanted to do that with myself. Next thing I have is I show people what I really love is sometimes to use as a lower third. So I have a button for a lower third that I created, and I can put that right on top of myself. So it's there and show people. A lot of people like that to display your information, put a QR code to your LinkedIn profile. Got that in a button. I have a button that shows our logo to just show the concept of having content, over your shoulder. I have that programmed to a button just to show, hey, you can have that. You can have that, and you can make it as big or as small as you like just by taking a corner of it and dragging it around. So I can turn that away. I do have a picture preloaded because a lot of people ask me, and I just like to talk about them, of my kids. So if I press this one, which is great because the button actually has them. There's a picture of my kids. I can show them off. I do have a button that will show pricing. That does come up. So people say, whoa, is that expensive? I get out of the way and I show them, here's how much it is. Real cool. And usually at the end of the meeting, I throw out my favorite GIF. I love The Office and Dwight Schrute, and I say, thank you. So this is how I use my demo profile to kind of put on a little bit of a show in the spur of the moment. So I have all these controls, and I run through it. So that's my demo profile. The next one is maybe less exciting, but I call it my recording profile. And this is when it's time to make a recording, like, if you need to make an update for your team or to make a professional looking recording. I want different buttons. So the buttons I just did were to give people an overview of how mmhmm works. But I know if I have a pre-made presentation that needs to be done a certain way, I have a different profile, and I'll just show you real quick what that looks like. If I come out of here, switch profile to my recording profile, I do have Wavelink in here because a lot of people ask about music. I'll let Ajin talk about that. But I have buttons that will advance my slides, because usually when you have a recording, you need to go through your slides. I have a record button so I can record and stop from my Stream Deck. I also have a button that if you wanted to, a lot of people ask me, can I use it with my own room? And just to show you my green screen, I can hit that button and turns the background off. Can also hide the slides so you can fully see that's where I'm standing. Put the slides back on, put my background back on, and yeah, the dials still work. I can shrink myself down or come back to full screen with the button. That's my recording one. So again, it's similar in that it's Alt mmhmm controls, but it's made to optimize for the setting of recording. The next one that I really want to show, and this is like the last one that I really dive into, is what I call my automation profile. This one's just a time saver. I think if you get a Stream Deck, you should look into making your own automation profile and think about what are the tasks you do that you repeat. And maybe they're not just one click. If it's one click, you don't really need a button to automate one click. But what are the tasks you do that require multiple clicks, or you type the same thing over and over again? And it's like, okay, I have to do that again. Think about making a profile that automates them. The best way to do this, my number one recommendation is learning how to use one of two things. Either the multi-action function in Stream Deck, where basically you just take it's called multi-action. It's under the Stream Deck dropdown. You drag it in, and you'll drag a whole bunch of options, and Stream Deck will do them one at a time in order, and it'll automate something. Or you learn how to use what's called Keyboard Maestro, and there's a whole bunch of resources about that. But let me show you my automation profile to show you what it looks like. Here, I'll switch my profile. And I want to explain a bunch of them and just show you my favorite one, because it makes me happy. When I press that button, I'm like, wow, I'm glad I live in a world where this is possible. So let me just run through these. These two buttons up here, let me point to them with my mouse. These two here are so useful. I wish I could show you on this LinkedIn Live. But I work on multiple monitors. I spend a frustrating amount of time manipulating my windows so that, okay, my notes are here, mmhmm's here, my Slack's here, all the time. So I made two buttons that will move my windows. When I'm ready to record, it moves my windows into recording. Where mmhmm is front and center. My camera app is needed to where it's go. Slack is out of the way. And then I have a meeting. This is a meeting button that'll move my windows into meetings where notes all of a sudden become pulled up. Slack's over here. So there's certain ways I like my windows recorded. So if I have a note that I'm looking at someone, I'll put them next to each other. It saves a lot of time. I have a button over here that turns off lights, my smart lights. So you can do that. You don't just need to turn, it doesn't need to be key lights. It can turn off other types of smart lights. Again, they're not, so I won't press that. We already know what that looks like. But I have 3 Slack things that I use often. I am my team that I talk to all the time. I have a button that will open up Slack, put it in front of my face, and pull up that channel. It might not sound like that's super exciting, but it saves a lot of time. It's just, oh, I have a thing I want to say to them. Boom, Slack's right in front of me. I also have 2 buttons that will update and clear my Slack status. So if I have to run away from my computer, a button that says, I have a BRB button. If you could see it, I press it, updates my Slack status, let people know I'm gone. When I come back, I clear it. My favorite button is up here in the top left. If you're in sales, I don't know how many people here are in sales, but even if you're not, one thing I'll say about sales, if you get what's called an inbound lead, that means someone has raised their hand and wants to buy your product, wants to learn more. We have a spot in our website that people reach out and say, I want to talk to sales. When they come in, it's been ingrained in my head because I spent 7 years in sales, that when they come in, you do not make them wait. When people raise their hand, you call on them immediately, because you don't want them to then say, all right, I didn't get called on. I'm going to put my hand down and I'm going to go raise it somewhere else. So I have a button that when an inbound lead comes, my colleague Steven's out right now on paternity leave. I'm covering the inbound lead inbox for him. I have a button that when I get a notification and it's in my screen that, oh, an inbound is in, I never want to make that person wait. Sometimes I'm knee deep in things and I don't, I have to pull up my email. I have to go find out who did it. I gotta write my message. I have a button that automates and makes this super fast. And I recommend anyone who has emails that are urgent that you need to respond to think about automating this. What I want to do is show, if I don't pull up a screen share, it's not going to make sense. Let me just show how this works. And this is a quick action that I've put together that strings multiple steps. Let me clear this slate and bear with me as I share my screen. I'm going to share this screen. Let me make it full screen and move it to the center. Bear with me. I'm going to move myself a little bit out of the way. So here's the situation. Let me just set the stage. If you, and I'm going to, just imagine me pressing that button. You don't see my Stream Deck right now, but imagine me pressing that button. I'm knee deep in an Excel spreadsheet doing some work. This is just fake data, by the way. It's a template. And an inbound comes in. And I need to respond to this person immediately. So I'm going to press that button. I'm going to show you what this Stream Deck action will do and just react with me here. So I press the button now. And it pulls open. Why is it not showing? Why is it not doing that? Let me see if I can press that again. Why did that work? Let's try that again. Sorry, I think I've shared the wrong. Why is it not? Oh, I guess maybe share. Let's try that again. Screen share. I'm going to share. Oh, I've shared the wrong thing. That's why. Okay, so let's say I'm on the website. Sorry to set the stage again. Sorry about that. One of my favorite features, by the way, in is if you are sharing your screen, you can actually, you don't need to see my tabs. So I'll stop doing that. And then what you can do is if an inbound comes in, reset the stage. Sorry about that. That's what happens here. Reset the stage. Oh, an inbound comes in. I can press that button. And here's what will happen. It will open up my mail. It will compose an email. It'll write the subject line, re-sales inquiry, and it inserts a snippet with my Calendly link. That was all one button. So if I was in Excel or if I was on a website, that button opens up my email, writes me a subject line, re-sales inquiry, inserts a snippet, because I say the same thing all the time, includes a link to book. All I have to do is insert their email address, hit send, and I can go ahead and I can minimize that, and I can be right back to Excel. I think that is super, super useful. I use it all the time. I know I kind of screwed up the initial attempt to show you, but that is really cool. That is a quick action that I set up to pull up my email, insert a subject line with text, and then insert a snippet, and it's right there to go. So that is my automation profile. The very last thing I said I was going to do is show you Wavelink. I'm not going to get super into it because, like I said, next week on Tuesday, the 19th, Ajin and Phil are going to be talking about the Phil Libben's setup. And Ajin is a master in all things Wavelink, and he is going to go through that. So I am not going to go too in depth. I'll just save that for them. I want to round out by saying those were my 5 top Stream Deck profiles. Wait till you see Wavelink. It's really cool. I got a main one. I got one for demoing. I got one for going live for recording. I've automated certain tasks. I'm just scratching the surface. There's so much more to do. With the Stream Deck, the Elgato Marketplace, it is amazing what you can do. I really hope people check it out. That's the really the main thing I wanted to say is if you've been on the fence about getting a Stream Deck and you've been using do it. If you're a Stream Deck user and haven't checked out yet, do it. They work so well together. Again, so this is amplified with Stream Deck. I'm going to start rounding things out now. Thanks again for joining us today. I do want to remind you, for those like I said, I would remind you 3 times. Do comment Stream Deck. I give a last chance to do it right now. We're going to give one of these things away. And if you don't get picked, but you do want a Stream Deck, and you should, go ahead and use the discount code. 20% off, save you some cash. You will not regret it. I highly recommend the Stream Deck Plus with the knobs. As a reminder, my name is Michael Perekupka. Thanks for listening. It's tough when you're the only talker the whole time. So hopefully, like I said, it was interesting. If you saw a profile that you'd like and you'd like to share, let's figure that out. I'd be happy to do it. Have a great rest of your day. And and thanks so much again for joining. And I'll sign off now. Have a good one. Bye.
Can't get schedules in sync? Update everyone fast by recording a video with mmhmm. mmhmm videos are perfect for demos, updates, and presentations. Trim, delete, and reorder sections to get right to the point. fix mistakes by re-recording them. Forgot something? Add it later. Nothing explains your ideas better than you do. Explain yourself.